I'm going to do something in this video I rarely do, and that is label myself. I have this ideology that with labeling comes limitations. So I've always took it upon myself to rarely, if ever, label myself. It's like to box oneself in or box someone else in to a certain criteria or caliber. They're this. When you are, in my case, when I am multi-talented, multi levels of abilities and skills, it's no way that I can box myself in. But it's one other title I wish to place upon myself today. And I'll tell you why. But first, I want to introduce. This is Foundation for Elevation Station. See, I talk a lot about forming the foundation to a culture, to the new kingdom. And many of you, I think the majority of you clearly believe what I'm saying and understand, and furthermore, overstand. But it's some of you that need a little more convincing into the path I am forging. See, I'm on a mission for God, the higher powers, the elite, whatever you want to call it. Place me right there. I am a certain example that must be guided to the forefront. The reason I say that I am a pioneer today, because I am the example of how to merge a high level of masculine with a high level of feminine. This is something that I don't agree with. I'm not with that type of wordy dissection, that labeling again. But it is true. It is true. And I understood it because I have studied it years ago from Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ assisted me in drawing the connections and what's going on today. And before many of you get the praising your good book, I'm really not talking about the good book you may be referring to. See, I'm speaking of a book called the Book of Thomas. This is the book that depicts the core of Jesus Christ, the core of his daily activities and the core of his thoughts. And I tell you about one dinner table lecture. This is something we lost from our communities. This is one thing I wish to bring back. When Jesus would eat and have dinner, he would use it as a teaching moment to his disciples and anyone else that was present. And in the Book of Thomas, it was one specific dinner that enlightened me to what's going on in our present day and why I am the pioneer. This is giving me goosebumps. I want to state it properly because it's the real deal. I know many of you never even heard of the Book of Thomas, but it is real. And when the books were realigned, or I want to keep it positive because that ain't the words I really want to use, but when the books were realigned and they were put together, the ones that were to use in 1611, and it was dispersed by King James, dispersed it for, I just keep it positive, to shed the light on all. The book of Thomas was left out for many reasons. And I believe one of the reasons was many things I have read and translated into what's going on today. At one point, Jesus was having a dinner with his disciples. At this dinner, Mary Magdalene happened to be there. I think it was either one or two of like ladies that was with her that rode how she rode. So Jesus had began teaching about the Spirit specifically. This is what he was speaking on. And when he was teaching, one of the disciples, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the disciples was angered, but he knew not to cross the line with Jesus because Jesus ain't play. He listen, y'all read the Bible, the Old Testament, New Testament, you think you know Jesus? Like he wasn't a nice guy. Like he wasn't. He was a tough like dude. He wasn't the toughest, but he was superior. He was not. He was an intimidator. You could tell he had hands on him, like straight up. You could tell by the way he carried it. Like, yeah, all right, keep talking. Like he was no nonsense for real. But anyway, the one of the disciples said to Jesus, like, man, you talking about these things in front of Mary? She's not befitting of this type of teaching. Basically, that's what he said. And he said, I'm sure, and just assume, you're partaking upon the Spirit, what I'm talking about. Because, and he said any woman who can fashion her spirit to walk like a man is deserving of the new kingdom. I said, that's almost verbatim. It was a long time ago, 7 years ago, something. Straight up, that's what he said. And I said, that's what this women empowerment stuff is. Because they gonna have the mantle in the future. Like I see it. It's so many other teachings I have read throughout history that align me to African American woman and what's next and blah blah blah. It is what it is. But at that point, Jesus continued speaking. He said when he said that any woman that could fashion her spirit, and this is how she fashions her spirit, to lead the way with her logic and reasoning and thought. He said, this where I was he used certain words. He said thought. He specifically said thought. He might have said logic or reasoning, but he said one of those words, but he definitely said thought and reasoning, or thought and logic. And he said, and not lead the way with your emotions or feelings. It wasn't verbatim, but this is what he meant, and this is something that I was leaning on before I had read it. It was like a major point in my life to start to separate the process of being, of allowing your logic, reasoning, and thoughts to lead the way and not allow your emotions and feelings to take control of your decisions or your behavior. That's why I came up with my logo. This is real. This is my logo, leading the way with your brain, your logic, your thinking. Then it's a heart. Then it's a heart in his arm. So you cuff your heart, you hold it, protect it. That's when I made my logo out of it, out of just that whole notion. And it's the reason why I am the pioneer with how a really masculine man incorporates a high level of feminine, and it's like the next stage of evolution. This is the type of qualities that is needed in the men going forward, in the superior men. I didn't see it. I'm just putting it out there. I know what's going on. That's it. I didn't ask for this. It just is what it is. So don't judge me, or he ain't this, or he ain't that, or this, that, and the other. Just know, I have always felt enormous about myself. Even if I ain't have $1 to my name, that is not, it registers on the weight of who I am, what I'm worth. But I am worth so much more that it's so tangible, it's ridiculous. It's a shame that we put so much value on dollars when there is important. But we see that our youth is lacking so many attributes of a solid human being. But we continue to teach them, get that money. If you ain't got money, you ain't got nothing. And now we got a lot of mental midgets running around. No offense. I love you. We do. No morals, no discipline. And we could say the things that I'm saying, but we still ain't doing nothing about it. Because in my state, the children in my community, Cleveland, Ohio, in public schools, from the 9th grade to the 12th grade, 53% can't even read on the level of their grade. And I don't even need to go to the numbers and statistics for comprehension. This is reading, writing, comprehension, and math. It is. And them some core measurements of humanity. Why the percentages are so great for our children not being able to do these things on the level that they're in? They're in the 10th. They can't do these 4 things: reading, writing, math, and comprehension. Like, they can't. But we keep putting value on money. I'm doing my best. I can't wait to be able to expand on what I'm doing. I'm doing nothing but fortifying this great spirit I have. I am so proud of me. I always knew in my life that I was a certain type of human being, and people would see me and would see my shoes busted or me low on funds, and they'd be like, man, look at his shoes. How could he think he's something? Like, how the hell do he think he on a level when his car about to break down? We put so much worth on what's outside of ourselves that we have failed for the tricks of the devil to not fortify the inner being.